Episode 3, Hidden Chemistry in Everyday Life. What you can't see can still shape your body and mind. Episodes 1 and 2 traced how distress and indifference are turned into diagnosis and long-term prescriptions. But drugs are only half the story. The other half is the environment those drugs enter, an environment saturated with chemicals, additives, and policies that quietly influence our bodies and minds every day. Start with food production. Modern agriculture relies on synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, growth hormones, and antibiotics. Many of these substances were approved decades ago under standards that look primitive by today's science. They are often tested one at a time, even though people consume them in cocktails. Independent studies have linked high pesticide exposure to developmental delays, behavioral changes, and neurodegenerative disease. Yet, acceptable daily intake continues. Levels typically assume a healthy adult male, not a pregnant woman or a small child. Ultra-processed food compounds the problem. Formulations of refined starches, seed oils, emulsifiers, colorants, and natural flavors deliver calories without micronutrients. Diets high in these products can mimic or worsen the very symptoms now medicated in children and adults. Impulsivity, inattention, anxiety, low mood, just to name a few. Subsidies, marketing, and regulatory loopholes make these foods available cheaper and ambiguous, while healthier options remain expensive. Then there's the air and water. Industrial pollutants, heavy metals, endocrine disruptors, and microplastics move through supply chains into our homes. Cloud seeding and other weather modification projects add silver iodide and other particles to the atmosphere with little long-term research. Pharmaceuticals excreted by patients re-enter our rivers and drinking water. Each exposure may be small, but the total load is unprecedented in human history. Vaccination and medical products add their own layer. Ingredients such as aluminum adjuvants, residual mercury compounds, lipid nanoparticles, and novel excipients enter developing bodies already burdened by poor diet and environmental toxins. Surveillance system records spikes in allergic and autoimmune conditions, but independent follow-up studies are rare and often underfunded. Families and clinicians seeking data frequently hit sealed settlements or proprietary trial results. These aren't fringe concerns. Peer-reviewed research and government biomonitoring programs acknowledge rising levels of synthetic chemicals in our blood, breast milk, and cord tissue. Regulatory agencies lag far behind, constrained by limited funding, political pressure, and industry lobbying. As with psychotropic drugs, conflicts of interest abound. The same corporations that manufacture chemicals fund safety studies, sit on advisory panels, and lobby for permissive standards. The consequences go beyond physical health. Chemical exposures can alter mood, cognition, and behavior, priming people for the very diagnosis that justify even more drugs. This creates a double bind. A toxic environment generates symptoms, and a medical system markets those symptoms as disorders needing lifelong treatment. The feedback loop might be invisible but profitable. None of this means every additive or pesticide is inherently harmful. Some improve yields, reduce famine, or protect against acute poisoning. The problem is scale, secrecy, and cumulative impact. When independent scientists raise alarms, they often face intimidation, defunding, or smear campaigns. When lawsuits finally reveal suppressed data, the damage is already done. Reflect on your own routines. How much of your food is packaged? How often do you read ingredients lists or water quality reports? How many substances in our homes, cleaners, plastics, fragrances were safety tested for chronic low-dose exposure? Each choice might seem trivial, but taken together, they form the background of modern life. This episode is not about inducing panic. It's about making the invisible visible. By understanding how hidden chemistry infiltrates our food, water, and air, we can begin to question the policies and incentives that make it normal. In the next episode, we'll show how those environmental factors and medical practices reinforce each other to keep the cycle of harm and profit spinning.